want to man the chat, that would be awesome. So hello to all. Some of you are familiar faces. Some of you I may not know yet. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about email marketing. My name's Kat. Heather's my business partner. We started a little company about a year ago called Be Epic Marketing. Some of you guys are members. And so our goal with this company is to provide you guys with tools and resources to be more consistent and creative with your marketing and to ultimately help you nurture your client relationships and increase your sales. So email marketing is a part of what we provide to our clients. But beyond that, today, we just want to talk about whether you're a client of ours or not, how you can do email marketing, how you can do it well, and some strategies that you can implement in your business to really connect on a deeper level with your clients. A little bit about my background. I got my degree in journalism, so sort of the foundation of my marketing career was built on content creation. I'm a copywriter by trade. It's what I love. My first big girl job was as a reporter, and so I have spent a lot of time trying to craft copy and trying to create emails and articles and things like that that really are going to connect with my audience. And so it's something that I'm really passionate about, and hopefully you will be too by the end of this webinar. So why are we here today? So hopefully you're here because you want to learn about email marketing. My goal for this call is to help you guys understand the role of email marketing in your business and how it sort of compares and plays with all the other formats that you might be using to market yourself. And then also to teach you how you can create more effective email campaigns. So how can we get our open rate up? How can we get more engagement? How can we actually get results from our email campaigns? And then lastly, we're going to explore some tools to grow your database, because you've probably been told over the last 6 months that if you want to transact at the same level you were doing in maybe 2021, 2022, you really need to grow your database. I know that's a message that I've heard a lot, that your current sphere is not buying and selling as much as they were 2 to 3 years ago. So you're going to have to add new people to your database. You're going to have to nurture those relationships if you want to increase your activity. So hopefully we'll give you some tools to do that. So here are just some stats about email marketing and why I think it sort of matters. So 92% of adults who are online use email. A lot of that is for business, but some of it's for personal. I think what's more interesting than the number of people using it is that 61% of email users prefer to be contacted by businesses via email. So it really is a great channel for B2C. I know sometimes people can get annoyed when they're on social media, Facebook, looking at pictures of friends and family, and they get these ads popping up at them. But email's a little different. I feel like people sign up for newsletters to get promotions, to get discounts, to get deals, and also to interact with businesses. So it's really a great opportunity for you. It's a very, I guess, more welcome format to receive promotional emails from brands and from businesses. And then I get asked this question a lot, so I just wanted to throw this in here. All the time people ask me, well, what should I have for my open rate? What is like a good open rate? And an open rate, if you don't know what that is the percentage of people that you're sending your email to, how many of them are opening it and actually viewing the content. So the industry average for real estate is about 20%, but obviously our goal with this call is to help you get that number way up. My average open rate across all of my clients is about 50%. And so I'm going to give you some tools on how you can achieve that in your own business. So before we dive deep into sort of the nitty-gritty aspects of email marketing, I just wanted to show you this graphic so you can get an understanding of how email marketing fits in with all the other marketing that you're doing. So the way I categorize my marketing and the marketing strategy that I take with my clients is we try to do a little bit in each of these 3 areas. So there's paid media, there's earned media, and there's owned media. So paid media is exactly what it sounds like. This is exposure that you're gaining from spending dollars on it. So it could be social media advertising. It could be being a sponsor at an event. It could be doing pay-per-click ads. So this is all stuff where it's essentially, as much as you pay, you're going to get an output for that. And as soon as you stop paying, you stop generating any sort of results from it. So it can be a great way to sort of kickstart lead generation, to sort of add some life to your database. But there's definitely a financial cost to this. Then on the flip side, you have earned media. So this is organic exposure that you are going to gain without paying for it. So this is like stuff like Google reviews, if someone likes or shares a post on social media, it is your social media output, anything that comes to you through organic search. This is all stuff you are gaining as a result of your paid and your own media, which we're going to talk about next. So the earned media sort of will continue organically as long as you continue to feed the paid media and owned media circles. And then the owned media, which I think is one of the most impactful and powerful types of media, is assets that you actually own and control. And so this is your website, this is any property sites that you have, this is your email marketing, this is essentially your database. It's things that you own, that you control, that no one can take away from you. So I think that this is important and this matters because in the world where things are constantly shifting, social media algorithms are always changing. You don't own any of that. So if Facebook decides like, oh, in 5 years, we're going to make you pay to reach your audience, we're no longer earned media, we're paid media. If you've built your entire business on social media, that can flip. You don't own any of that. So the goal is to try to leverage paid media and earned media to feed into owned media, which no one can take away from you. So, and it's also the cheapest type of media from a cost perspective to market to. And we'll talk about that a little bit.
Can I say something to that too, Kat?
Go ahead.
So I recently looked at doing a revamp to my website, which I do own. And I looked into Luxury Presence, which it's a beautiful website. But what I ended up finding out is if you have a platform like Luxury Presence or some of those other platforms, you're paying a lot of money for them, but they own all of your content. So when you decide you want to move it over, if you want to cancel and you've got 200 blogs in there, or you've embedded all of these videos in there, like you're going to lose them if you can't move them over. So I think, Kat, I just wanted to touch on that because we just barely went through this process of like, what do we do? And I thought, well, if you're with a website company that charges you $200 today, in 5 years from now, how much is that going to cost you, right? So if you do want to move over, you're kind of hold hostage. So be careful with that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of companies that make it easy and quick to get your
they were working with a company and it's
website
gotten
up
tough
and
and it's
running.
gotten hard. So people are leaving.
Well,
So here's the thing.
Whoever's
Warren Buffett
watching
says
Brian
when people
Buffini in
get,
the background, mute
greedy,
yourself.
I get nervous, but when people get nervous, I get greedy. I'm telling you right now, Buffini Company, we're
Plug for Buffini and Company. So anyways, yes, that's true. WordPress is a great option because you can take that and you can move it anywhere. Obviously with Squarespace, things like that, you own the content, but pulling it off and transferring it can be difficult. So it is something to consider when you're building your website out. The partner that you choose to go with. So that is definitely a question to ask if you're concerned about migrating and owning your data. Okay, so if we're going to do a smackdown between email versus social, agents love social media. Everybody loves social media. It's like the more flashy, fun thing. There's not a lot of hype around email marketing. It just doesn't seem as sexy as social. But if you actually look at the engagement rates, there's no comparison. So on social media, on average, 1 to 3% of your followers are viewing your organic posts on social. So if you're not paying for exposure, you're not boosting your posts, only about, we're going to say max 3% of your followers are actually seeing your content. So very small percentage. So if you're wondering why your organic reach continues to decline, why you're getting less engagement on your social media posts, it's because every single year the algorithms change, less people see your content. They're forcing you into this sort of paid model where you have to pay for exposure. Email, on the other hand, like we mentioned, if you're just doing the average, you're not exceptional, you're not great, about 20% of your database is opening and viewing your email. So you're going to have a much higher rate of engagement on your email and return on investment, hopefully, because more people simply are going to actually see your content that you're putting together. So they've done a lot of studies on this as far as like return on investment from different types of marketing, and the return on email marketing is about 3,600%, and you can compare that to about 180% on social media. So much higher return on investment. So I think this is, obviously these are all compelling reasons to maybe pay a little bit more attention to your database, your email list, and put a little bit more thought into your strategy and the types of emails you're creating and what you're sending to your list. So 3 reasons why I think you should utilize email marketing are cost, directness, and longevity. And so the cost factor is simply that it doesn't really cost you anything. It's very minimal amount of cost to send emails to your database. Maybe depending on your whatever software you're using, whether it's MailChimp or Constant Contact, you might be paying $20 to $100 a month. But that's really the only cost associated with sending your email out on a monthly basis. Also directness. So it allows you to be very direct and personal with your database, and it's really great at nurturing relationships. You can also segment your database and create really personalized communications. And then longevity. We're helping through your email list, you're able to build a database that will last much longer than a social media post and build engagement that will grow over time beyond what social media can do. So I think those are 3 reasons why you all should be doing email, which it sounds like most of you are, but let's talk about if you're doing it well. So I want to get into sort of the anatomy of a marketing email. So what should go in your email? How should you structure it? What is going to get you engagement? So some of this might be a little beginner, but I think we could just quickly run through sort of the components of an email, and then we'll go through 3 different types of emails that I use for my real estate clients. So the first component of your email is what I call the sender and the subject. So 43% of people are going to click the spam button based on who your email says it's from. So if it says it's from, if you don't take the time to put either your name here or your business name or something recognizable, it is probably going to be clicked as spam or go into the spam folder. So that's important to make sure that your name is set up and structured correctly. You're also going to have your email address in here, which we'll talk about authenticating your domain in a little bit later in the presentation. And then subject line. This is probably one of the most important pieces of your email and what I put a lot of time and energy into trying to craft. There's a lot of science behind creating a subject line, and we'll go into some of that. But if your subject line isn't going to catch someone's attention, it's probably not going to get opened. And if it doesn't get opened, it's not going to get viewed. So that's really where it starts. This is where it all starts with getting an engagement for your newsletter. So before you even get into the content, you need to be thinking about, do I have things set up correctly? And do I have a compelling subject line? And then your pre-header text is essentially that string of add-on text that you can see, which is essentially a preview of your email. So it could be a little bit about what your email content's talking about, or something also catchy to get them to open it. So I think I have, okay, yeah, so let's go into tips for nailing your subject line. So like I said, it needs to grab someone's attention. It should describe, ideally in some fashion, what your email is about. I love using emojis in my email, but you don't want to use really more than one in your subject line. So make sure that if you are going to use emojis, pick one, otherwise it could be marked as spam. You want to keep it short, sweet, and intriguing. A lot of times if you personalize it with a first name merge tag, or if you include a question, that can get people to open it up. And you can also, if you are using, most email software providers will allow you to run A/B tests, which is essentially you can split test your audience and say, I'm going to try 2 different subject lines. I'm going to send one to half of my audience and then the other to the other half. Or you can say, I'm going to pull out 20% of my audience, split test that, and then I'm going to send the winner to the remaining 80% of my list. And so that's just a way, if you want to experiment with some of your subject lines, that you can kind of get a better idea of what your audience responds to. So here are just some examples of like what you could say and then how you could say it better. So I've seen a lot of people send me newsletters where they're like, February monthly newsletter, which to me is just kind of boring. Like, it doesn't tell me what it's about. It's just, this one has way too many, punctuation marks. It's just blah. So instead of just saying like, this is my February monthly update or my February market update or something like that, I would encourage you to pick out something that's either intriguing or talks about a stat or something that's in there. So like, we used this one for February to play off of the whole Valentine's Day concept. In our newsletter for February, we were talking about whether or not your home still fits your needs. And maybe, if it doesn't, now might be a great time to consider contacting me and learning more about what it would look like to move. So we used the subject line, is your home still the one? Obviously playing off, like I said, Valentine's Day, putting some heart emojis, and that one got a pretty good response. Another example is like if your company wins an award or something, you want to let your database know about it. You could say like, this is obviously very long. The Roxburgh Group is the #1 real estate team in Salt Lake, according to Forbes. I made that up. It's not, I don't think it's the #1. Maybe it is. I don't know. You tell me, Heather. But a better way to put this would be to do something that, again, has personalization. So it's got their first name in their cat. So it is important that you, when you're adding your clients to your database, you put their first name along with their email, because that'll allow you to personalize it. You don't really need any information other than that. But I mean, which one would you open? This long string thing, or would you open like, Kat, can you believe this happened? So that's going to leave me with a bit of like curiosity. So I want to click on that. I want to know what happened. Again, 1 emoji. And then this is another subject line we've used. A lot of you guys, when you're sending your listing emails, will put like just listed in the address, and that might get some attention. But we had this condo that was like, it was not your average condo in a 55+ community. It was a $2.2 million condo. It was completely custom. It was like, had been completely remodeled, gorgeous. And so we thought it would be fun to play off of the whole not your grandma's condo. And then that subject line, did obviously very well because people thought it was funny and wanted to see what it was. So those are some examples of how you can optimize your subject line to increase your open rate. So going back to sort of the anatomy of the email, once they open your email, this is the first thing they're going to see. And this is going to be your header. So there's different approaches to this, but these are sort of the 3 components to what you should have at the top of your email. You should probably have your logo. A lot of people like to put a navigation bar. This is just nice because it'll immediately give people these options to click. So they're like mini call to actions. If someone wants to go to your website, it's very clear and easy. And then you can include a tagline, or Heather, you used to do this. I don't think you do it anymore, but you have your like market area. And that way, when you send an email, people are associating the Roxburgh Group with Salt Lake City, and we're just kind of embedding that into their brain. So that's especially important if you're doing an agent newsletter, because you want to associate your business name with the market area that you serve. So that is the header. So once you go beyond the header, we are going to go into the actual body. Oops, click back. Body of your email. And so most of the emails that I create for my clients have a combination of these 4 things within the body. So we usually do personalize our email with the first name. So instead of just saying, welcome to the new year, we always like to say, hi, Kat, welcome to the new year. Welcome to the new year, Kat, just so that we are kind of, I think when people see their name, it just draws their attention more because it feels like you're actually having a conversation with them versus just sending a mass email to everyone. So we really try to personalize it with people's first name, and we weave that in throughout the email, which you can do, like I said, with these merge tags. I also spend a lot of time and energy into putting together what I believe to be a well-crafted and thoughtful introduction. So instead of just slapping content in here from ChatGPT, I really try to get in the head of my client and in the head of their audience, whoever their sort of avatar is, and create copy that I think will resonate with them. So it's usually something that's either sentimental or educational or a little bit fun and playful, sort of whatever that agent's personality is and whatever their brand sort of stands for. We try to weave that voice into the intro and make it feel like we're having a conversation with a friend. So I think that putting a little bit of energy and thought into the content that you're putting together, it can take longer, but I think you'll find that the results will be worth it. And then we typically have some sort of image at the top. I like to use GIFs a lot because I believe that the movement can grab and hold interest. So a lot of times I'll turn this image into a GIF using Canva. So there'll be some sort of movement that's eye-catching and gets you to want to continue to scroll down the email. And then typically we will also have a call to action. Well, not typically, we always have a call to action in our email. We always want to invite people to contact us, to click somewhere to learn more, to be able to take some sort of step based on whatever our goals are. So that could be going to a contact form on our website. That could be clicking this button and sending an email to me. That could be going back to our website to read a blog that we created or watching a video. So you can kind of pick and play around with your calls to action, but you should have at least one call to action, preferably a lot more than that in your email newsletter. And then the last part of your newsletter, which a lot of people forget about, is your footer, which is also important. So you want to have your contact info. You want to let people know how they can reach you. We usually include the team logo as well as the brokerage logo. And then you want to put your social media links in there to try to pick up additional followers that way. And then legally, you need to have a preferences and unsubscribe link in your email so that it's compliant. And if you don't have those things, that could be a trigger for Gmail or some other email service providers to send your email to spam. So make sure you keep that on there. It's usually default added on there by your email software. Okay, so that is essentially all of the pieces that I put into an email, the anatomy of it. But now let's talk about what types of emails you should be sending to your clients. So I typically send a mix of these 3 emails on behalf of my clients. So typically we have a monthly newsletter that goes out every single month, and that's sort of a roundup of valuable tips, videos, resources, things like that. And then we like to do once a month a 1 subject email. So we call it a 1 subject, and then basically that's 1 subject that we're passionate about, that we're talking about that month, and we'll send that out. And that's just more of an educational piece on something topical, something relevant that's going on in the world and in real estate. And then lastly, we will send our listings via email. And so I'm going to show you some examples of each one of these and how I think you can do them well. The listings, depending on, if it's a higher end property and we really want to get a lot of eyeballs on it, we'll do a specific featured email for that listing. Or sometimes we'll do just a roundup. If we've got multiple listings, we'll kind of include them all. That can just depend on how many listings you typically get. And clients do like to see that their listings are being emailed out. And also with this, you can give them some good feedback and data on, we sent this out to a database of 5,000 people. We got this much engagement. So it's just another tool that you can use to hopefully make your sellers happy and let them know that you're doing everything that you can to promote their property. So newsletter sample kind of showed you what this looks like. I do a mix. So it's kind of hard to show an email in this format, but essentially we have a lot of content in our newsletter. We have, like I said, a sort of intro, call to action, photo or gift, and then we get into some blog articles which link back to our website. And lastly, we usually finish with some sort of local piece. And that is sort of at the end of the email. And this is a format that's worked well, that I get a lot of great feedback on. I think I can show you, see if I can get out of here and show you what it looks like. So this is what the email looks like when it actually goes into someone's inbox. So you'll see there's a lot of content here. We've kind of got an intro, what's going on this month, ties into the topic. If you're a Buffini person, a lot of times we'll use some of the concepts that they've created and rework them into a format that has our branding. Then we'll usually do some sort of real estate focused piece. And so these are what I would call our content pillars within an email. So we'll have intro, photo, try to personalize it with the team. Then we'll usually have some sort of real estate specific content, something going on in the market, something going on, whether it's a piece of info for buyers or sellers. And then we kind of get into some local specific stuff. So then we'll do some fun stuff. If you're not buying or selling, here's some stuff that you might be interested in as well. So we'll talk about cabin rentals or things to do or restaurants and things like that. Kathy does a lot of videos, so we'll include a video. And then this is usually also just some sort of lifestyle piece. So the content mix we try to include is a mix of lifestyle and then real estate specific information. And all of these lead back to our website, our blog post. And then we kind of scroll down. And then this is where we've got also some restaurants, community events, things to do, all that kind of stuff. And our listings. So it's a lot of content in here, but we like to think that there's something for everyone in this email. The 1 subject, this is going to be a little bit more simple, straight to the point, and on a specific topic. So this is an example of a 1 subject. It's a specific video that we emailed out. We just talked about the video, and then we had a little call to action for people to engage with us at the end. So again, a very different style. Both are effective. I would encourage you to experiment with different styles of email. Sometimes the simple, short, and sweet emails do really great. Sometimes the larger pieces with lots of information do great. So I would say you got to experiment with the two. And then lastly, if you are going to send out your listings, sort of a sample of what that could look like is this. We'll usually do an intro, have some sort of video or image, have a link back to the property website, and then we'll include some photos and a call to action. So those are just some different examples of how you can structure your emails. And all of these emails have great open rates, have great engagement, and do well. So you kind of have to find your sweet spot and do a combination of the different emails to see what style works for you. Let me go back over to my presentation. So we talked about that, talked about one subject and listing. I'm going to go through this fast. Okay, so another question I get asked all the time is, when should I send my email and how often should I email people? And I get pushback on this a lot. So most of my clients only want to send one email a month. They think that that's a lot. And if they send more than one email a month, they're going to be spamming their audience and they are just not going to be happy. That has not been my experience. I do think you need to warm up your audience. So if you're going from 0 emails to like 4 or 5 a month, that's going to be too much. That's going to feel like a lot to your database. But you can warm up your sending frequency over time, over a period of 30 to 90 days. And that can kind of be your ramp up window. And then you can email more frequently after that. I would say a sweet spot is 1 to 4 emails per month. 1 would be the absolute minimum. Most of my clients fall in the 2 to 3 emails a month range. And we're typically doing a combination of those: newsletter, one subject, listings. And then obviously sometimes we have event emails that need to go out and such, and that can kind of up the frequency. But I think if you're following somewhere between 1 and 4 emails per month, that's enough to be consistent and to start to create some engagement from your emails. Now, as far as days and times to send your email, this is pretty, this has been studied a lot. And so this is a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? It's, there's not a lot of guesswork here. It's been proven that if you send your emails Tuesdays through Thursdays, those are the best days, and 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. are the best times. So the sweet spot for me is Tuesdays at 10 a.m. That is when I get the best engagement. That's when I get the highest open rate. That's when I feel most people should be sending their emails. But maybe I shouldn't tell you that. We're going to all start sending emails at the same time, and then it's going to change. But yeah, I would say if you don't really want to send them on Mondays, people's inbox get backed up from the weekend. They get busy, might get a little ignored. Weekends typically aren't great. Fridays typically aren't great. I think if you're going Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 12, that's wonderful. You can even really push this time frame out to about 3 p.m. But once you get past 3 p.m., it starts to drop off. So if you're wondering when you should send your campaigns, that would be my recommendation. Okay, now this is another question I get asked a lot, and it's a little techie, but I did want to talk about it briefly. So how do you avoid the spam folders when you're sending marketing emails from a MailChimp, from a Constant Contact? I always get concerned that emails are going to spam. People aren't seeing my emails. So there are some factors that could be contributing to whether or not, basically the deliverability of your email. And 83% of the time, email is not being delivered to an inbox. It's because of a poor sender reputation. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means and how you can improve your sender reputation, how you can check on your sender reputation and make sure this isn't happening to you. So if you feel like you're getting, your emails, you're on your email list, you're not getting them, they're going to spam. A lot of times they do go to the promotions tab, which is different. But if they are going to spam, it's probably because of 2 things, either your IP address or your domain. So what that sort of means is IP address. So if you're using a MailChimp, for example, they use a shared IP address to send out emails. So if I send my email through MailChimp's platform, basically whether or not Gmail decides to put it in spam or in their inbox is going to be based on the reputation of everybody who's sending emails through that IP address in MailChimp. So it's sort of this pooled reputation, if you will. So it is important to, and MailChimp versus SendGrid versus Constant Contact, they all have their own reputation scores. So you can actually go and check this on a website called Sender Score, and I'll show you how to do that. But you want to make sure that your sender score is like 80% or above, because otherwise there could be some issues there. So that you can't really control other than leaving that platform and maybe moving it to a different platform. Or there are some email software that actually allow you to have your own IP address so that your sender score is only being based on your activity, it's not being shared or pooled amongst thousands of users, if that makes sense. So that's one component to be aware of. The other one is you want to work with your IT team to connect your email sending domain. And that is just basically going to connect your website with your emails that you're sending. So if your website is lamonteam.com, you just want to verify that domain, and that's going to help Gmail or whoever recognize that this is a domain that is connected to your email and it's authenticated. So it's just sort of a technical thing that you can do through, you can use a service like Cloudflare to do it, or you can go into GoDaddy and do it, but you're going to have to change some of the records on your DNS settings in order to do that. So it's a little bit techy. If you have an IT person, they should be able to help you with this. But beyond those two things, so those are probably the biggest contributing factors to whether or not your email is going to spam. Beyond that, there are things that can be hurting or helping you. So if you have bought, most agents don't do this, but if you have bought email lists in the past, so you just went out, you paid a fee, you bought a list, you started emailing to it, that can hurt your sender score because those people, those email addresses did not sign up to be on your list, and they're probably not going to engage with you. And as your engagement goes down, so will your sender score. Other things that can flag your emails are using all caps in your subject line. That can be a flag Gmail's filters and say, oh, this is spam, drop it into spam. If you're using too many exclamation points in your subject line, that could create a problem for you. If you're not creating quality content that people are engaging with, that can create problems. If you're also not cleaning up and updating your list regularly, and you've got a lot of bounces, you've got a lot of old email addresses in there that are no longer active, that can also hurt your email sending reputation. And then, so it's important to keep your list cleaned and updated. And then again, if you're going from 0 to 100, like if you started with 0 emails per month and you're going to 5 or 6, you don't really want to do that. People can start marking things as spam. And so you really want to warm up your email sending, maybe start with 1 a month, go up to 2 the next month, go up to 3 the next month, if you are looking to hit that level or that frequency. So yeah, this website's pretty cool. It's called Sender Score. You basically copy and paste your IP address in there, and then it'll pop out a score and it'll tell you whether or not, it'll kind of give you a rating, and it'll also tell you if you're blacklist, complaints, like it'll give you basically a score on all these things and let you know 91 is obviously a good score. At the end of this, if you guys want me to show you this, I know it's a little techy. If it's boring to you, I don't have to. But if you want me to show you it at the end of this presentation, I can pop in and show you how to check this.
Well, yeah, so how do you find what's your IP address?
I can show you how to find it.
Okay.
You have to go to the code of the email and then you can copy and paste it over. Okay, so let's talk about list building. How are you going to build up? So now you've got a plan for hopefully sending emails, but you want to be growing your list constantly, right? You always want to be feeding new people into your list, taking out old people who are unengaged, taking out people who are no longer active, no longer want to do business with you. So this is just a hodgepodge of a bunch of ideas, a bunch of ways you can build your list. I've highlighted the ways that I've been the most successful with my list building, but I would love for you also to chime in, Heather, with ways that you have had success building your list. So for me, the most effective ways to build an email list have been using pop-ups on my website. So like a little thing that pops up and says, oh, do you want to hear from me? Put in your info. I'll keep in touch with you. Usually I'll do an exit intent pop-up because so when someone's going to leave my site, they'll get it, not when they first get there, because that can be a little annoying. I've also had a lot of success with gated content. So creating like white papers, free downloads, things like that, any kind of free content. And then I'll usually write a blog that ties into that topic and then have a little form in my blog post where someone can enter their email to download some sort of guide. So that's been a way that I've had success with generating new leads, new people in my database that are interested in hearing from me. I've also, and I know you've had success with this, Heather, just by participating in Facebook groups with peers, I've added a lot of people to my database that way. So I'm a part of a bunch of different marketing Facebook groups. If someone posts a question, has a need, a lot of times I'll pop in and I'll say, oh yeah, I've got a great resource for that. Message me if you want a copy. And then I'll get, people will see it on the feed and I think one time I did this and I got like 100 new emails just from posting in there. I have a free resource on social media marketing for agents. If you want it, just message me and I'll send it to you. And sure enough, the emails started coming in. So just by being an active participant and looking for opportunities to help and serve people, you can generate contacts that way. I have had success running Facebook lead ads. Again, most agents don't do that, but if you are really looking to lead generate online, that can be a lucrative way to do that. We host webinars like this one, which people show up to. A lot of you guys put your email in, we collect it, we add you to our database. That can be another great way. My clients sometimes will do like webinars with other agents where they'll talk about a specific real estate topic. They'll have it gated where people have to put their email in order to view the webinar. And so that's another way that agents can get people's info. And then attending live events, obviously networking at live events, you always want to make sure that you're exchanging contact info. I use a links card, which is basically a digital business card that I just tap on people's phones. It'll automatically add their contact info into my phone, and I can, without doing much work, have a record of that. And then just honestly, through creating quality content and putting it out on social media, on your website, driving traffic back to your website, you'll generate some organic growth through SEO. So Heather, before we move on, actually, do you want to share how you've built your database? What have you done that's worked for you?
Well, it depends on which one, right? So if it's like, let's talk about like the agent database, for example. I mean, I have a huge agent database, well beyond just going to events. November that I do every year, we have people re-sign up for that, and we try and market and post that everywhere, including in our, we send it to our clients as well. And so Brooke would have to speak to this, but we get hundreds of new people in our database every year doing November, doing these types of things. Pretty much everywhere I go, I just came back from a master class and I had a goal of collecting like 20 business cards, and I came home with 30. And these are like connections where I'm meeting people, getting face-to-face with them. So just being really intentional about that. And then I also, I'm on a golf committee, and everybody that signs up for the golf committee to golf in it, all the sponsors, I get all their contact information. So at our last golf committee, we added about 170, we had 144 golfers, and then all the sponsors we added in there. So now we're marketing to them. We did raffles and giveaways to collect people's information. So, one thing I'm not afraid of is just finding somebody and adding them. I don't ask permission. I know a lot of agents say, oh, I don't want to put them in my database. I don't want to just start marketing to them. And I say, why? If you're sending out great content like Kathy, right? For example, people are going to open her stuff. They're going to want to see the next greatest restaurant in Atlanta, so I think you just can't be afraid to look at every opportunity. I'm on Utah Foster Care, so I've got all the board members in my database. So it's just any chance I can get. I like, I don't really do any downloadable items for clients. We do have the pop-up on our website, join our newsletter, and we have a lot of people that actually sign up for that. So when we host our events too, we make people sign in, and so we collect updated contact info. I mean, a lot of times people don't keep that stuff updated, so it's a good time to do that. So all these other ways that you have as well, but I'm always thinking of like, how can I grow this? And especially in the agent database, because right now we have a lot of clients that are not moving as much. So building out that agent to agent piece is so important, and making a marketing plan around that.
Cool.
And doing mixers and stuff. So we do a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So I did want to talk briefly about measuring your success and some different metrics you should look at or could look at. You don't have to look at all of these, but when you're gauging whether or not your emails are working or are falling flat, these are some different sort of KPIs that you can look at to help you have an understanding of what's happening on your email list. And most email companies, again, like a MailChimp or Constant Contact, whatever, they're going to provide you with some metrics. It's usually pretty easy to find. There's usually a dashboard that you can go to. Most people don't pay attention to this, and you don't need to go in every single month, but I would say at least once a quarter, go in and look at what are your most successful campaigns, what were the subject lines, and start to look for patterns. Because once you find a pattern, then obviously you know, okay, this is working. We're going to do more of this. We're going to do less of this. So some of the things you can look at are your open and click-through rates. So what percentage of your database is actually opening your emails? We're always trying to get that number up. And then beyond just opening the email, are they engaging? So are they clicking, and what are they clicking on? So MailChimp will give you this list of like, okay, we sent this email, by far, this got the most clicks. It was a click to a property site. And then there was a YouTube video in there as well, and that got the second most clicks. So you can kind of see hotspots within your email. Where are people clicking? Is it usually more up at the top of the email, which would make sense if they're not scrolling all the way down? Or is it a specific type of content that's really resonating with your audience? Do they like more of the lifestyle stuff that you're sending? Or do they like more of the real estate specific updates? So you can really kind of start to hone in on what's working, what you should do more of, and basing that off of feedback from your database. So those are some things to look at that are going to help give you an idea of engagement and what's working. You also want to look at your abuse, unsubscribes, and bounces. So you can see every email will have some level of bounces, and typically there's an unsubscribe here and there. You just want to make sure those numbers are not going up, that they're not crazy high, because that can also affect your deliverability. And then if you do have bounce emails, you want to just remove them. So you don't want to keep sending to that same email. And then if anybody's marking your emails as spam, so abuse reports, that's like if someone saw your email and said, no, this is spam, I didn't sign up to receive this. You want to try to keep that number low. The more abuse reports you have, that's going to hurt your sender reputation. And then you can also look at things like timing. We kind of talked about that a little bit. Do you want to experiment with like different times, sending some at 10 a.m., maybe sending some at noon, maybe sending some on Tuesdays, sending some on Thursdays? What's your sweet spot for your database? And then once you know that, you can kind of regularly send at that time. And then the last piece is obviously the sender score, which we talked about already. You can check that out on a quarterly basis, is probably fine, and just make sure that nothing's changing drastically and your email deliverability is still good. So I think that's, everything that I have. If you want me to show you, do you want me to show you how to check your sender score?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, please, yes.
Okay, see if I can escape out of this presentation. Okay, here we go. So if you go to your email, okay, so this is the website, senderscore.org. And right here is where you can just literally copy and paste in your IP address, and where you will find that. So if you have an email, this is in Gmail, you'll click these three dots down here and go to show original. And when you click on that, it's going to show you the code for your email. And so it'll just be like this jumbled up code. But you'll be able to, it's easy for me to recognize because I know what an IP address looks like, but usually it's this string of numbers that looks kind of like this. It'll be like a 3.1.3.3. And so it'll look like this, and it'll say, so yeah, it'll usually be under authentication results or somewhere around here, but it'll say like MailChimp. So I just look for this like string of numbers, because it's a pattern. Like you'll see it's here, it's here, it's here. It's all the same, and it will be in this format, but you would just copy and paste that over
So
into.
Kat, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. So you need to go into a newsletter that you send,
that you've received from yourself.
From yourself.
So add yourself to your newsletter database. When you get the newsletter, you can open it.
Okay.
You can click show original. You can find that string of numbers, that code. You can copy and paste it in here. Say, let's go. What's my score? And then it'll tell you. So that's probably the easiest way to check it. I know that it's a little techy trying to find that number, but it'll basically tell you sort of what your overall score is and where you're strong and where you're weak. And it'll also show you some other sending domains. These are just essentially other companies that are sending under that same domain or that same IP address, I mean. So you just want to make sure this number, the higher the better, it's on a scale of 0 to 100. Like I said, you want to make sure it's over like 80, and then you should be fine on deliverability. So if that's confusing, let me know. Or if there's someone techie on your team that you can task them with checking this every now and again, that's also a way to go, and they can just keep tabs on it. I feel like this is more for someone who's managing your content, creating it for you, just for them to keep tabs on and report back to you and say, hey, our score's great, we're doing fine. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So I guess at this point I can open it up for some questions if anybody has any.
So if your score is below 80, then what do you do?
Well, you can, I wouldn't just like up and leave MailChimp right then and there, because they operate with tons of different IP addresses. So it could be that one is weaker than another. So I would maybe check it for a couple months. And if you notice a decline, or if you notice consistently it's low, then it might be time to switch providers and maybe go try Constant Contact, or go try SendGrid, or go try something different. Most of these bigger companies keep tabs on this are going to have a pretty decent reputation. Because I mean, if their emails are not getting delivered, people don't want to pay them to use their software. So they do things to make sure that they're in line and they're compliant with all of the regulations that our government puts in place for sending emails and anti-spam laws, that kind of stuff. So they're going to keep tabs on that more than you're going to as an individual.
Will you go back to the one you were showing us? I just have a question. Sorry, I'm going to hog the questions, guys. You're all going to have the same questions, so I'm just going to get them out while we're on the call. Are you able to go back to that?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you scroll? So down this graph down here, right there, up, go up. This right here. So why does this number dip so significantly? Like, what is that all about?
So their score dipped down to, okay, so it dipped down to an 85. I don't know why it dipped down. It doesn't tell you why. So it's like 98, but the only thing I can think of why it dipped at that particular time is, I mean, this is going to be based on the collective sending. So I don't know, maybe I have no idea why that like low dip happened at the one specific point. It doesn't really tell you, does it?
So I'm going to ask you on mine. I could probably screen share this. So mine's like,
but it's still 85. That's not bad. It's not like it's like 10.
Well, so mine is 72, but it was like up and then it dropped and then it went up and over and then it dropped and it's just declining. So is that something I'm doing?
Are you measuring yours through this?
Yes.
Then no, that's something that your email company, because this is just basing it off of the IP address.
So is it because of, I use Constant Contact? Would it be because of that or Gmail?
It would be because of Constant Contact and something going on with them. Basically, Gmail's giving them a lower score.
Okay, well, it's been low for a while, so we need to look at this.
Yeah, so that's
interesting though, very interesting.
If you're just putting in the IP address, it's just basing it off the IP address and the reputation associated with that. If you're looking at your specific numbers, then that's factoring in IP address along with all these other factors that I explained. But if you're just looking at the IP address, then that's based on what their company is doing and sort of what everybody who's sending emails through Constant Contact, the collective reputation is obviously declining, it sounds like. So that might be something to look at because that is a little bit on the lower side.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like MailChimp, I've always done really well with them. I know some people like Constant Contact, some people like MailChimp. They're kind of similar, but maybe something to look into.
Well, so if you leave, one reason why we haven't left Constant Contact is because then again, we have so much content in Constant Contact, right? So don't know how that would work.
Yeah. And Constant Contact, another reason why I don't like them is because like with MailChimp, you know how you have like templates that you can share and upload and like, it's kind of like Canva where you can create a template, you can drop it into another account. Constant Contact doesn't have that feature. So it makes it difficult to migrate content over if you are switching accounts. But I mean, what do you need all those? I mean, if you have templates, you're going to have to rebuild your templates.
Not worried about the templates, just the content in there if we lost it all. So
Like the actual like
content,
viewing the email and seeing what
email
you
that we
sent last
sent.
year.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, go back a couple of years and see what we sent that month. I mean, when you're sending,
Do
when
they
you're
have a free
sending,
version?
and for 15 years, when you're sending an email once a month, sometimes you go back and say, hey, let's go back and look at what worked well. Maybe we update it and resend it. So it's just losing the content itself. But maybe that's just something I need to get over and not worry about.
If they
So-
have, so like MailChimp has a free version if you're under a certain number of sends or contacts. So you could look into Constant Contact and see if they have a free version and just downgrade it. And then you can keep your account active. That way, if you want to go in and view the content that you've sent in the past, you can, but you're not still actively paying to send emails through that account. So that would be another option.
Okay.
I think I don't know if Shannon's still on. She asked, what service do you use to send out your mass emails? I'm assuming not Referral Maker.
I put MailChimp in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We do have another one from Jeff Martin, though. How does open rates and engagement compare when sending to past clients versus leads?
Well, typically the more they know about you, the higher the chances are of them opening something. So if you're sending an email for the first time to a lead that just subscribed to your list from like something you posted on the internet, the open rate's going to be way lower. It just is. If you're sending to a past or current client, it's going to be much higher because that lead is way more qualified. They know who you are and they're like, oh, Heather's my realtor. I'm glad she sent me something. What is this? If it's someone that doesn't know who you are and you're sort of starting to form that relationship, it's going to take a while to warm that up. And you're going to have to weed through a lot of random people that don't even know why they filled out a form and why they're on your list. Those people need to be weeded out with the few that are actually truly interested. So, I mean, I think we've all probably experienced this. Internet leads are not the highest quality leads. They can still be a source to grow our database, but those are probably not going to be leads that are going to convert anytime soon. You're going to have to warm those leads up for a year, sometimes 2 years in order to get them to do business with you. And even then, you're going to have to weed out all the no's to get to a couple yeses. So, I mean, it's a way to continue to grow your brand awareness, like very top of the funnel stuff. But it's not going to be the best source of customers and engagement, if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Al had
Mia.
one. He said, what if you're using BombBomb? Can he track on sender score as well through BombBomb?
Yeah, you should be able to do the same thing. So just make sure you're on your list and you get their email, and then you should be able to go in and check their IP address and see. Please do check and let me know what theirs is, because I'm curious, because a lot of email, so with BombBomb, right, like the appeal of using that platform is that you can send video messages that have the video directly in the email to your clients. But a lot of email service providers like Google will automatically block that type of rich media content. And so I'm just curious, and that's why you'll notice, like when you get emails from like MailChimp, they don't let you send an embedded video. You have to put like an image which links to YouTube or links to your website or links somewhere else where you can watch the video. And that's because most email service providers will block embedded videos. So I am curious with BombBomb what their deliverability is, because they do offer that feature. Something to check. I don't have a BombBomb account, so I can't check. But I know that they were popular a couple years ago. A lot of people were using them.
Question for you guys. I did do BombBomb, but I don't do it anymore, and so I don't know, so I can't track it anymore. But so I went under sender score, I put in my IP address, and it keeps saying please enter valid business email address, which I only use one email. So any thoughts?
You should be able to. So I can't see what you're seeing, so I feel like I can't give you a good answer.
Right, that's okay.
But it could be asking for the email that you're sending from. So if it's like Leah at your domain name. You could try that and see.
Okay.
It might be checking your domain name. Either
So
that or you don't
then-
have the right IP address.
I maybe not, but there is many other things in here, but it could be coming from it's coming from Buffini. So it could be coming from the Buffini.
I should check their sender score too. I do get a lot of agents emailing me their e-reports. I'm curious what their deliverability, because I know a lot of y'all still or do use Referral Maker to send emails.
Yeah. I'll chime in if I can't get.
Okay. And I can always talk to you offline and we can try to help you figure it out if it's not working for you. And I can see your screen and that might help me understand what you're seeing. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, that's what it was. So I copied the Buffini one, and actually it's really good. It's 99%.
All right. There you go.
And mine it dipped down in January 2004, but otherwise it's pretty much like this, just straight across, really high. Everything's really high. So
Well, that's good. So then
and everything else, the impact on our scores is super low. So I'm pretty pleased to see that.
that's good. So people are getting your emails. I mean, you probably know if people are getting your emails. If
Yeah.
if you have a high open rate, people are getting your emails. If your open rate is 10%, that's bad. Like you've got problems, and it probably has something to do with your sender reputation. If you're getting 20, 30, 40% open rates, people are getting your emails, but if you want to get it to the 50, 60%, you need to work on your content. You need to work on your subject line. You need to work on creating things that are more valuable for your audience. So sender score is a part of it, but it's not everything.
Right. I'm laughing because I just chatted with Buffini. I'm like, hey, only 50% of the people are opening my emails. And I know because I'm following up with calls. And then I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh,
that's a high open
it
rate.
is actually high. So I guess we're doing okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're never going to have 100% open rate. That's not the goal. I think if you're getting over 50%, that's great. I think if you're getting 60%, that's exceptional. I mean, 50% is exceptional. But then beyond opening it, what is the engagement, or what is your click-through rate? Is anybody doing anything with what they're viewing? Do you have opportunities for them to click and go contact you? Do you have opportunities for them to interact with your content, go to your website? So those are sort of like the progression or the steps that you want to be taking. First, you need to get them to open it. Then you need to have good content, and then there needs to be a call to action so that they can continue to engage with you. Any other questions? Is that it? Hopefully you all learned something. Was that
Great.
helpful?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if you guys have any other questions, reach out to me. If you want someone to do your email for you, reach out to us. We have VAs and a system for that. Or just take the tips and go out and do it yourself.
Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely week.
You guys always have a lot of content and I always learn something new.